Good afternoon, leaders, managers, and HR professionals. In this week's podcast, we're going to discuss why role clarity is key for any organization, why it is important to have a role clarity before interviewing candidates, and how it can save you time, money, effort on your end of things, and as well as saving the time, effort of any upcoming candidates. So this is an article published by Matt Jacopetti. He is a professional in the human resources area, and these are his thoughts. So employee retention is a persistent issue for all businesses. And according to the results of the latest Pulse survey, the average level of staff turnover is about 16%. Okay, so for many, this rate is considered too high, with more than 2/3 of the respondents believing the turnover of 10% or less would be ideal. So the survey also indicates that almost 60% believe that turnover in their workplace had a negative impact on the workplace productivity. A lot of times why this happens is because we have candidates who are hired, they are joining the organization, they're joining a team, and then the expectations are way bigger and non-communicated when somebody takes on these responsibilities. And that causes chaos and non-efficiency. What's interesting is that more than half of this turnover came from younger workers, 35 years of age or less, and it was highest among those occupying entry-level, graduates, or junior roles. Now, you have to think that, this statistic applies differently in different companies in different cities. Nowadays, especially in the Seattle area, you have a lot of tech companies that are taking folks right out of college, people who have had 2 to 3 years of experience in a different company, and they are usually hired at a junior role. Still, they're responsible for key initiatives that are supposed to drive business outcomes. And at the same time, they're supposed to be an amazing team players and possess emotional intelligence and on and on. So it's just about thinking clearly in regards to the expectations, what one must have versus what one it is nice to have. Although you might reasonably expect younger employees to exhibit higher turnover, the result from the HRI survey shows that younger employees are leaving their employees at a rate that is at least 2.5 times greater compared to all other positions and ages. So these results indicate that there is a lot of unproductive recruiting. Okay, this is the key of the whole podcast, unproductive recruiting. The thinking, the strategies behind creating a role, alignment between team members, and then actually going through the interviewing process and the selection process. And especially among entry-level jobs. So in this case, what can employees do to reduce turnover? One solution is greater role clarity. Okay, in an article published in 2012 by the Harvard Business Review, author Tammy Erickson argues that without clear role descriptions, employees are more likely to waste their energies negotiating their roles with their teams rather than focusing on their productive tasks. How many times can you recall saying, "This is not my job responsibility. This is a task that I'm not supposed to be completing. It's nice to complete. It would be great if I can do that, and that would probably give me the golden star of a great team member," but that is actually lowering the productivity of the team and the whole company. So to paraphrase the article, without role clarity, employees often get involved in an unnecessary politics and turf wars. More importantly, the research also suggests that collaboration improved when roles were clearly defined and well understood. The reasoning behind this conclusion was the finding that team behaviors improved when employees felt that their roles had clear boundaries and it allowed them to do a significant portion of their work independently. So they didn't have to go through the hassle of saying yes or no to specific asks, and asks weren't even in place, and employees were giving the security and the confidence to say no if such a task came to life. So the benefits of role descriptions. This is the second part that it's very important. The advantages of adopting a systematic way to create and sustain role descriptions go well beyond simply reducing role confusion and improving collaboration. Specific role descriptions can be very useful when used in following ways. So number one is recruiting and attracting talent. So ensuring that the position is well defined and understood first by the business and then by the potential recruit. So is the VP of sales aligned with the VP of marketing when they're recruiting for a role? Do they have a different point of view, or is it the same? Does alignment exist in close to 100%? That is very important, right? Assist the recruiting process by helping to frame interview questions and conversations with role candidates. So a lot of companies nowadays have the thumbs up, thumbs down system of approval when applicant is going through different interviewing processes. Well, that might not be very well structured because there are different biases that we initially, just generally speaking, possess in our minds based on previous experiences that we have had and likes that we have. So would I like to work with this team member? Is that team member appealing to be somebody that I can have a great relationship with? Or are they somebody who simply knows how to do the job? And this is what matters most. Explaining how the recruit can contribute to the organization and vice versa. So when a recruiter is being presented with a new role, it's important for an organization to explain the must-have and the nice-to-have qualities and characteristics in an upcoming candidate, and then demonstrating that the business is structured and well organized. If a candidate comes in and they see discrepancies in regards to different conversations that are specific to the role, the candidate will feel confused. They will feel like there is no alignment, and that will demonstrate that the business is not structured well internally, which means that would create a chaos. And so in regards to Kaji and how Kaji can help you prevent this type of scenarios is really looking first at the structure of how you're interviewing a candidate, the role clarity, and then only proceeding with the hiring process. Handovers, induction and training. So promoting alignment with and provides context for the company's culture, values, and purpose. It is important to hire candidates that are familiar with what you do. They are in ways more than one or two align with your values and are passionate about the purpose of the company. So this should be falling under the must-have, not nice-to-have, right? So if somebody is passionate about the company as a whole, that would give you a lot more confidence that you're hiring somebody who, no matter what kind of challenges they face, they will be able to overcome them. Providing a valuable reference for handovers and assist in incumbent to introduce the new role recipient to the breadth and depth of all of their role tasks. Rarely we actually spend enough time as recruiters, HR professionals, leaders, managers to really describe each task and each role responsibility and why it is important for the current hire. Okay, most of the time this is a one-way conversation. Even though you might be having a conversational discussion with a candidate, if you really think about it, it is a one linear conversation where you are asking a lot of questions of the candidate. How are you the best fit? What is your experience? Tell me about your failures. Tell me about your successes. What are you going to do in a challenging situation? Can you resolve this issue? Where do you come from? All of these questions, which is a lot to cover even in a 3-hour conversation, especially when you're meeting with 5 different interviewers, right? And it is very little actually that the candidate learns about your company. It's very little that they learn about your management style, which you often and many managers like to present? How do you deal with challenges when they arise within coworkers and teams? How do you deal with initiatives that are being challenged from other team departments? And so just spending the time to do that, that leads back to the engagement for a candidate to really feel like they belong. Let me, as the manager, as the leader, take the time to tell you more about me. Let me tell you about this role. Let me really clarify the roles and the responsibilities. Let me tell you what it would be nice for you to bring on board and what you must bring on board, okay? Explain how the employees can help the business execute their product or service offering. This is also very important in regards to just creating a collaborative behaviors and providing a secure framework for employees to work independently and creatively. Performance management. This is another one that we don't cover during interviewing processes, which is causing confusion after a candidate has joined the team. So you need to define way before you've sent a final offer to a candidate, what is the expected performance in the role and how it should look like. Establish an objective biases for measuring and managing performance. So what are your objective biases, right? And how are you measuring the performance at scale? And when we talk about scale, we're talking about really gathering data and looking at the numbers versus just the characteristics of the employee. And providing a useful reference for canceling employee disputes and discipline issues. So are you hiring somebody that you want them just temporarily? You want them to get the job done? You want them to be in the company for a couple of years? Help you execute on that project, and then you don't care if they would leave or they would stay? Or are you actually a manager or a leader who wants to invest in teaching and growing this employee and for them to become a huge and integral part of the company and helping it grow? Innovation and knowledge management is also a topic that it's rarely discussed during interviewing processes. You can say I've been a part of innovative teams. I've created a lot of different projects. They have been successful. They have not been successful. We fall fast. We get up faster. But really providing a contextual framework that will assist employees seeking guidance. And this is the knowledge management that we're really looking at. So if we think about predictive patterns in regards to why somebody is not executing well in their careers, because they become so focused on the tasks at hand on a daily basis that they lack to seek different opportunities and engagement within different teams and companies and projects. So innovation is not just within your role. Innovation, it's about being part of the bigger picture, and as a manager, as a leader, being responsible to provide those pathways for employees and to encourage them and motivate them. Okay. And then career development, so supporting the idea that one role is part of a career rather than a simple placeholder for a job. Nowadays, a lot of employees are looking for a place where they will feel they belong to. They feel like they're part of a team. They feel like they're valued, they're heard, they can start their point of view with integrity and authenticity, and they can have a great relationships even though speaking their truth, and continue to be as productive as possible while also managing their work-life balance. Providing and establishing the networks available to the employee for advance and mentoring. It's also something that, a lot of companies fail to address in the initial process of interviews. Often, a lot of employees who are applying to innovative, fast-moving, fast-paced companies are looking to be guided. And so what do you do as a manager and as a leader to explain what is the process on that end? Yes, I will mentor you. Yes, I will guide you. Not only I need you to come in as a subject matter expert, I need you to blow my socks off because you're hired for this role and you need to be a pro at the 17 different job role tasks and descriptions we have, and you need to execute super well. And then also, by the way, it would be great for you to have additional, contributes like emotional intelligence, like creating a culture of well-being, being a great communicator, being somebody who is encouraging others. So if you think about it, these are a lot of qualities that very rarely one person possesses. So it's one step at a time. If you already have the base, if you already have the foundation, which is the must-have, how do we as managers and leaders help employees continue to thrive with having realistic, not idealistic, but realistic expectations of them? And how do we help them when they struggle? And so this is the podcast for this week. I hope that this was somewhat insightful and helpful. There are many tools and programs that can help you to format the interviewing processes better, to find role clarity within the internal teams initially, and then really starting the recruiting process in an effective way, which can secure not only the team's success, but the upcoming candidate success. Because our biggest role is to support the growth of the company to really achieve business goals. But we know that at the heart of every organization are the people. And so how do we take care? How do we nurture people? And it starts with those first initial predictive steps of how to avoid certain scenarios. Here is Simona Trakiska with Kaji. I hope you have a great day. Bye.